Hello, welcome everybody to another WeatherXM call. We have Manos here today.
Hello, everyone.
So today we're going to be talking about the 2025 roadmap, and Manos is the perfect person to discuss it. So with that, are you okay jumping right into it, Manos?
Yep, let's talk.
All right, great. Well, so let's talk first about kind of our strategy and execution for 2025.
Yeah.
What is our WeatherXM's primary focus for 2025?
So I think in a nutshell is focusing on the demand side uh, around weather analytics, weather services, the weather services we produce using the weather data the stations make. So we want to showcase our value proposition. We want to extract insights from the data produced. So this is the hyperlocal forecast and the forecast accuracy tracking that are based on this new data that our network is producing. And we continue pushing for weather data utilization on chain, which is related with parametric weather insurance, prediction markets, derivatives, and so on.
That sounds like a whole lot. Which one of those are you most excited for?
To be honest, is the targeted rollouts. This is like, for me, that's the most exciting part because we are expanding the network in areas that could not even conceive of having that kind of weather infrastructure at a pace that is very, very crazy for the meteorology industry. Right now, we're growing at 10 stations per day on a global scale. But in the next few months, we expect this to shift towards global south because this is where we send a few thousand weather stations ready to our deployers through the Swissborg Alpha deal, the targeted rollout of the past. So we expect those stations to go live in the next few days, weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that makes us totally unique. Maybe one of the only, if not the only company who can actually send these stations to areas where they're needed.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, what trends or industry trends do you see for weather or crypto that are going to affect WeatherXM in 2025?
I think those trends are not like 25 specific in the sense that we know that the climate is changing. We see more and more weather related disasters and extreme weather events everywhere around the world. I don't think this is going to become better. Things are going to get worse in a way. I mean, I don't want to be the Cassandra here, but so this intensifies the need for improved weather services, weather infrastructure, I think. We have some opportunities in our hands. One of them is related with the developments in AI and machine learning. There's more and more models coming out that they're trying to do weather forecasting in an unusual way, not the traditional atmospheric simulation way that the models we use today are utilizing. But we see AI models that they treat the whole problem as a black box and they just apply crazy algorithms to come up with a better result. And these AI models all need raw data. They feed on raw data. So satellite and weather station data is their input. And that's what we're doing here. We're producing raw weather data that all those services need in the future. And the other development that I think it's a highlight of this year is seeing more weather related prediction markets on chain. And which, in my point of view, I think I see this. This is similar to the DeFi era for crypto. I think the weather prediction markets, and it's the equivalent of the DeFi for our industry. Because it starts with this speculation flavor, let's say, but it can lead into products and services that hedge weather risk, essentially, that like weather derivatives and parametric weather insurance. And I'm really glad that I see this market evolving and we're part of it. And I honestly think this is not a zero-sum game market like the meme coins, for example, because we produce value and other projects also produce value using the power of crypto, using the incentives. We bring new value into the world and into the ecosystem.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, weather data is valuable in so many different industries. And I think we're in a great position in terms of feeding that data to different AIs. I think I just saw Google released a new AI weather forecast the other day. And I know we're using AI in our project as well. I'm excited to see how things progress in AI and our data. And I love seeing the prediction markets use weather as well. So I'm hoping we can encourage that ecosystem to grow. But yeah, so for 2025, Manos, I know that's kind of what you see at larger WeatherXM and the industry doing. But where are you going to be spending most of your time on the project?
So lately, my focus was around the demand and the weather services that we're producing. We haven't, in the next few days, we will launch the forecast cycles tracking hyperlocal services that took us ages to develop and mature to the level that we consider that is good enough to be released. And so, yeah, so from that point onwards, my focus is going to switch on Web3 stuff. So we have a lot of work to do with the targeted rollout. We have designed a new approach, a more generic platform that is closer to the original vision of subsidizing the cost of hardware in a more decentralized way. And that's what we're planning to apply for the next targeted rollout. As well as the prediction markets. I think what's happening there is really interesting, and we have a ton of opportunities there. We're engaging with prediction market platforms already, and we're trying to create new markets using our own data. So it will happen one way or another.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm excited to see the hyperlocal forecast and our AI forecast as well. So you mentioned the targeted rollouts, and we have a new mechanism there. But that kind of leads me to talk about tokenomics and our incentives. So do you see any changes in our tokenomics coming for 2025?
Yeah, so not major changes, but essentially we are evolving the reward mechanism as we had presented in the early days as well in the white paper. So the QOD algorithm, the mechanism that evaluates the quality of data produced per station becomes more and more strict as the network grows, as the demand is coming, and we have customers that they want, the absolute best and most reliable weather data they can get. Therefore, is in our benefit to, out of the 8,000 weather stations that we currently have on the network, to have, if possible, all 8,000 of them working in pristine conditions and without any problems. So the QOD will become progressively more and more strict. Some people will lose rewards because their station deployments are not so good, but the ones that have done a good job, they are going to see their rewards increase. Overall, I think we are one of the best networks out there in terms of the quality of the deployments because of the whole way that we have designed the network and set up the network, but we want to remain that way. So that's why this reward mechanism is evolving. We recently added the photo verification feature as well. So we're asking users to send us photos of their deployments. That is still in a beta phase. We're trying to figure out how to insert that into the reward mechanism. So eventually there will be certified weather station deployments essentially that are getting higher rewards.
Yeah, WeatherXM certified has a nice ring to it. So, and I love seeing right now the stock photo. Even the stock photo in WeatherXM Pro, it looks quite nice, but I can't wait to see the actual photos.
It's a real photo, but it's just one photo for all of them. Yeah. But they're coming. Yeah. So we have thousands of photos already. We always add them in Discord in a non-organized manner. The deployments that we're doing now through Swissport, we've asked the deployers to organize the photos per deployment. So we already have thousands of photos that we will add gradually into the system.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so my next question here, I'm excited to ask about, and I think our community will be quite interested to hear as well. Do you see any staking in our future? Token staking?
Yeah. So we have avoided so far the traditional staking mechanisms in crypto. So we don't want to give yield of WXM tokens just because you were holding WXM tokens. It doesn't make sense to us. However, we have services that require WXM tokens. So we're putting the token into work essentially. And I think the most interesting and useful one is the sell bounties. So it's a mechanism designed for demand from customers to signal where they want the new stations to be deployed. So anyone can add rewards essentially into a specific area to specific cells, and the weather station owners who deploy stations in those areas, they get those rewards, additional rewards. The first entity to use this will be ourselves, but we have designed this in such a way that anyone can utilize this. So it sounds like staking. I mean, it looks like a staking mechanism, but the people who stake are not the ones who get the yield back. They get weather data in exchange, and the people who deploy the stations are the ones who get the yield, essentially the additional rewards.
Yeah, it sounds almost like a marketplace matching data to the data buyers, data suppliers to the data buyers, right? Cool. All right. And so how does like our current token model or the future token model encourage long-term growth and network growth?
I think already the tokenomics we have are nicely designed. I mean, the economy is strong. If you look at the token, you can see that there's a strong economy behind it. There's no great variation, but there's not a lot of deviation in the token. So I think we're starting from a good point. By the way, the DAO already had, like last year, the DAO, the WeatherXM Network Association, already had a revenue of $700,000 roughly, which is from the yearly license auction and from the onboarding fees. And that's an important aspect of the tokenomics, essentially. That's how we drive value into the token, because the owner of the data is the network association, and anyone who needs to use the data, wants to use the data, they have to buy a license. And WeatherXM AG, our company, is buying a license from the network. So it's paying the license fees. And the same applies for the hardware. Anyone who wants to deploy hardware in the net that is compatible with the network has to pay the onboarding fee, which is $100 per station. So therefore, again, our company is paying those fees to the association. So there is revenue there that goes directly into the token.
Yeah, it's like an activation fee for each station
Yep.
sale.
Essentially, and it's used as the cost of the infrastructure for that station in the future. But the targeted rollouts is an alternative source of revenue or value into the token, and the cell boundaries that I mentioned before, they require WXM. The Oracle services that we're building that are related to the prediction markets also will require WXM in the form of fees. And lastly, the governance that hasn't really kicked off yet. I mean, we have designed everything, but we're a little bit behind in utilizing the token for governance. Right now, we're voting we have discussions in GitHub. We have WeatherXM improvement proposals already out in the wild being discussed by the community. And we will soon have those officially being governed using the token. So yeah, those are all the basically all around the tokenomics of WXM.
Yeah, no, makes sense. And thanks for sharing. I'm excited to see those changes come up. All right. So platform, I know we've had some big releases. I've heard some rumblings that there's more releases to come. So what's next for WeatherXM Pro platform and our data sales?
So right now, Pro has like a very limited set of features in relationship to what we have available in the backend. We have been working on a number of services for a long period of time. Forecast accuracy tracking is, in my point of view, the most interesting one, because for the first time, we expose out to people what is the best model per location and per station specifically. So which model has the best fit. So think of this like if you're a weather professional that your work really depends on weather, and you want to find out what weather forecast to trust, what is the model that you should be trusting? Because obviously lots of models, lots of different forecasts, and most of the time they contradict each other. So yeah, you need somehow to figure out what is the best model for your need. And this is the service that we have built essentially. It constantly monitors the accuracy of third-party forecasts. We're aggregating more than 40 models today. for every location that we have a station, and we're in a position to tell you, to classify, to tell you which one is ranking at the top, which are the worst, and per element, per weather variable, and day ahead. And there's a ton of use cases in cross industry that require this information, but I think the most fun one for our audience maybe is the prediction markets. So if you are trying to participate in a prediction market in Calci or Poly market, they are markets that they resolve on a daily basis, and they really depend on the freshness of the data and the accuracy of the forecast throughout the day. Anyone can use our services to become a better weather speculator.
Yeah, yeah, and we're calling that fact now, right?
Yeah.
So
Forecast accuracy
okay,
tracking fact is the short.
all right, catchy name. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'm excited for that. I've seen some stuff behind the scenes, so can't wait to share it with the audience here in the next few weeks. So tell us how enterprise partnerships are evolving. What's the latest there?
So we are still doing pilots with important companies and very important use cases. I mean, that was always the theme as we're trying to figure out where is the best product market fit. We recently had a very successful parametric weather insurance pilot in Colombia, in a cluster of banana farms with our partner Ensuro. So that was a great uh, lesson in a way on and insights into how that industry works. So we have more of those planned for 2025. Another great partnership that we have is with Synoptic, which is a leader in the weather observations space. And through Synoptics, we have the opportunity to engage with literally top with companies that are that rank in the top 10 of any industry who are interested in our data. So we are engaging with them. We are currently discussing and trying to figure out ways that we can sell or partner using the new network that we have created. So yeah, I think,
well, one thing it was nice hearing feedback from data buyers that they were impressed with our network in Africa with some of the direct feedback I've gotten, which I was pleasantly surprised by, as I think we need to grow that network, but they were pretty impressed that we had so many stations even by our network today. And so hopefully we can fill out more. But that was just great feedback to have. And then the quality of data also has been positive. So that feedback from the customers I've been talking to has been nothing but positive so far. Though getting over that initial hump of saying, hey, yes, we're a community network of weather stations, but we have high quality data is, I think, an interesting thing to explain to traditional weather folks and people who are using this data for real world use cases like emergency management. So, all right, to that, we're kind of talking about value props and why people like our data and what makes us different. But what do you think is the most underrated aspect of WeatherXM Manos?
So I think one important aspect in the project that sometimes is not so clear is the dramatic cost reduction that we bring into the weather industry. So I've mentioned many times that NOAA operates on a 7 billion budget, and just for the weather station infrastructure maintenance, they spend more than 1 billion. So in our approach, there is 100x cost reduction because the hardware is like super affordable, measures similar stuff like it's a full-blown weather station. Of course, it's not of the same accuracy and reliability, but our thesis is that it's better to have a couple of consumer-grade weather stations than to have zero or just one super expensive weather station, but ignorance on the surroundings on the entire area. So, and if you consider that through the targeted rollouts, we take it a step further, like we completely eliminate the cost of hardware. We subsidize the cost of hardware through whether crypto enthusiasts essentially who are paying for the hardware, and we're in a position to give the hardware for free. And that was the approach that we followed in the rollout of the network through Swissborg and the Global South. I think this is something that we haven't seen before in the weather industry. And it can bring some dramatic opportunities and enable new services that they were not possible before.
Yeah, it's quite amazing in terms of the cost reduction we can bring to this industry. And now we can, empower so many different regions that didn't have access to weather data before. But that brings me to, for our people who love our hardware, in 2025, what's the hardware roadmap look like?
So we never stopped iterating on hardware. So we are approaching the third generation of our consumer grade weather station. We've done a ton of improvements there. So we're going to see that this year. At the same time, we have been working on an industrial grade station that it's actually more than one. We have integrated Atmos 41, meter group Atmos 41, as well as SenseCap 700. So these are two industrial grade stations that are not so important for the community, but they're super important for specific customers that they've asked us for.
And so how are you defining industrial for our community? Can you give some insight into what makes these industrial versus the current models we have?
So they are, for example, the SenseCap is a hardware that has the ability to detect snow precipitation using radar technology. So it's completely different approach into the sensing of rain and precipitation in general. And it consumes way more electricity to do that. So it's not so versatile and easy to deploy, but it gives data in areas that a traditional weather station could not provide data, basically, like at the northern hemisphere of the world, where we have snow most of the time or quite often.
All right, gotcha. So, I mean, the big things I heard is that it's going to introduce some new data variables to our network, which I'm excited about from a data sales perspective. I think you said lightning and snow detection. Is that right?
Yep. Eventually, both. Yes.
All right. So lastly, how can our community get more involved? Are there any specific contributions they can make?
Yeah. So first of all, deploying more stations. We want to surpass the figure that NOAA has, 14,000 stations. We can easily do that this year. We're targeting way, way larger numbers. Our community should continue trying to do the best possible deployments and maintaining the stations in order to get maximum rewards. And I think it's time. We have released a lot of SDKs, open source software development kits, and now with the Pro API, we're expanding the possible uses of the data through this B2B API that we launched. So I think it's time for the community to build more using our data and our services. We've seen some amazing projects. We've seen integration with Home Assistant. We've seen in the Global ETH hackathons, there were some great applications built. So now, I think we're in a better position to build more useful applications from startups or companies that are acting as system integrators and they're delivering services to their end customers and so on. So this is something that we're going to push this year. And also we always have the affiliate program for the hardware sales. Today we curate who we put in. We want to figure out ways that we can do this permissionless. And we also want to bring the weather services into this, the sales of weather data.
Yeah. I think the best ways they can get involved is deploying stations, like you said, right? And not only deploying stations, but where there are no stations. That's probably what helps us the most is data buyers want data where it's not currently at, right? So if you can deploy a station where there's no other weather station, that data instantly becomes more valuable. So I think that's one thing interesting to note, but all station deployments help, like Manos said. And then, our affiliate program, hopefully we can open that up not only for hardware sales, but data sales now with the launch of WeatherXM Pro. And and so I'd love to see more community apps. So if you guys are building, shoot me or Manos a DM, and we'd love to share your guys' work. So final thoughts, Manos. Anything you want to share with the community or summarize our mission for 2025?
I think this is going to be an amazing year. We are prepared better than any time before. We have the token, we have the infrastructure, we have a great network, and we're ready now to sell services and build products and services that utilize weather data on chain, which is our mission this whole time. This is why we did this project. So we're, I think, in the final destination.
Excellent. Cool. Well, thanks for joining us today and walking us through the 2025 roadmap. Excited to see how the year unfolds, and we will see you guys all next time. Ciao.
See you.